Thanks, Anne. There's a real crunch league match at Starks Park tonight when relegation-threatened Raith Rovers take on fellow strugglers Kilmarnock. Defeat for Raith would leave them 7 points adrift at the bottom of the table, but the Starks Park club hope that the return of Jimmy Nicholl will provide some much-needed inspiration. Jimmy Nicholl, the man who guided Raith to their Coca-Cola Cup victory in 1994, can expect a hero's welcome when he returns to Kirkcaldy tonight, and his former club are in great need of his help.
It's a tremendous lift, and not just for me or the players, you know, most of whom Jimmy hasn't worked with, but for the whole town and the supporters. And I feel that's been the wee problem, is the supporters were a wee bit disgruntled because obviously the success that was there and not carrying on. And I think Jimmy coming back has suddenly got them all behind the team again, and we're hoping that's the crucial factor now in turning our season round.
Both clubs are still in the cup, but Premier Division survival is the only thing on their minds tonight. Kilmarnock have run some clubs close this season, but they haven't fared too well against Raith.
We'll try an evening score there. We beat them 2-1 early in the season. They've beat us up at Kirkcaldy 1-0 and down at Rugby Park 1-0. I felt over the two games we lost, we deserved to get something out of them, so hopefully these things will even themselves out.
Raith Rovers are facing up to their most difficult match of the season tomorrow night against Kilmarnock. The Kirkcaldy side, rooted at the bottom of the table, trail Killie by 4 points and have played a game more. But to their credit, they've beaten Bobby Williamson's side in 2 of the 3 meetings this season. The most recent in January when Kevin Twaddle's strike earned the Rovers all 3 points at Rugby Park. Raith boss Ian Munro is determined to keep his team in the Premier League, and to emphasise that desire, the Rovers manager has brought back former boss Jimmy Nicholl in a coaching capacity to try and supply the extra motivation and self-belief the players will need to escape the drop. Munro is happy to have his old pal back at Starks Park and views his return as a welcome addition rather than a threat to his position.
Basically, you know, it's a difficult job in football, and you've got to try and make it as easy as you can for yourself. And by bringing somebody of Jimmy's ability to the club when he's not doing anything, you know, it's to make my job easier, not make it harder.
Do you feel as if this is the last throw of the dice in this match?
Oh no, there's still 7 games to go. I mean, we could win tomorrow night and then lose the next 7, which would make it worth nothing. We could lose tomorrow night and win the next 7. And I mean, I know Bobby will be looking at it the same way. It's a tremendous chance for us to close the gap and psychologically give us a big lift. It won't be the end of the world, but it will certainly make things more difficult if we don't take 3 points.
Kilmarnock know a win over Raith will strengthen their chances of remaining in the Premier League. 3 points would also take them above Motherwell and closer to Hibs in the final run-in. But despite beating Rovers in their first meeting of the league campaign, Kilmarnock manager Bobby Williamson is under no illusions about the importance of Wednesday night.
It'll be difficult. Raith have done well against us in recent years down at their place, so it'll be interesting to see how we go about our business and hopefully we can get a result.
Yeah, Bobby Williamson there. We also spoke to Ian Munro and Jimmy Nicholl. Ian saying it wouldn't be a disaster if you lost, but it would put you 7 points behind Kilmarnock.
Yeah, I know that, but again, you got to watch you don't put too much pressure on the players over 90 minutes of football, you know, so I know what he's trying to get at, but at the same time, I don't think the players will need reminding the importance of the game. And, you know, like I said before, there's a lot of fight still and a lot of spirit still in them, and they're going to have to show it tomorrow night.
But the club's been isolated at the bottom there for quite some time, and maybe they've pulled back 3 points, but then they've slipped back again. It doesn't look good.
Well, not in your eyes, it doesn't, you know, but, you know, if you don't lose, you got to keep faith and keep believing you're going to do it, you know, and that's the way you end up looking at tomorrow night. And this, like I said, they've had a couple of results against Kilmarnock, and it should be a cracking game, a good atmosphere, and just give the supporters a little bit of hope that there's still a chance of surviving.
Graham, I know Jimmy's sitting beside you, but is he just putting a brave face on it?
Well, I've asked him to put on earmugs at the moment because I'll be talking about him. I think a lot of the effect that he can have coming back, and maybe a lift for the fans, a lift for the players. In football, magical little things like that can make a difference. It's got to be about what you do in the pitch and goals and how well you defend. But if you bring somebody of charisma back, it can make a difference. I'd actually look to that and say, well, can that help Raith tomorrow? Otherwise, I'd be asking for Bobby Williamson to pay my wages because I'm tipping Kilmarnock again. It's a tough one for Raith.
Yeah, and I mean, to have clubs like yourself and Kilmarnock and Hibs and Motherwell down there, it adds fuel to the fire of people who want this league up to 16 because it's just too tight.
Yeah, it's the argument I've heard since I've been back up as well, so it's just the way it is. I mean, I've heard that whenever I was here before, and they talk about pressure, you know, but I don't mind talking about pressure when there's 6, 7, 8 games to go, but don't be talking about pressure in August.
Yeah.
You know, we put ourselves under pressure by talking like that and thinking like that. Apply the pressure at the right times. Whenever you got to apply the pressure to players, keep them as relaxed as you can. Apply the pressure when you have to. Half a dozen, 6, 7, but not at the top.
Financially, though, I mean, could Raith survive going back down for a season? Could they bounce back?
Well, it depends how well your club's shaping up and how the type of football you're playing. And if the supporters come back, it's because they're happy with the effort the players are putting into it. They're happy with the football they're seeing. All right, you can't compete with the Rangers and Celtics this world, but you certainly can compete with a few teams down there. And I'd like to think that everything's in shape now for if they do get relegated, then you can come straight back up. Yeah.
From everything we've read in the papers, you've just come out of a nightmare situation down at Millwall, but I presume you were horrendously disappointed the way things worked out down there.
Well, it was in the end because of the way things happened. Last Christmas, or the Christmas before era, the same scenario was happening to them. They were top of the league, then they went to 9th. And whether anybody started reading in the same sort of script that here we are now, we're top of the league at Christmas, we've lost 3 or 4 games, we're down to 7th, I don't know. But at the end of the day, it was just a case of, you're just saying to your chairman, you've got 3 or 4 games coming up here against teams at the bottom of the league. I would sooner have the dreaded vote of confidence than sack by administrators, and that's what I wanted to avoid. But the club was in such a financial mess. It just seemed that every department suffered, and myself,
Has it scarred you at all? Or
No,
are you still, I mean, I'm not saying you're leaving Raith tomorrow, but are you still looking for another club to go and manage?
Yeah, certainly, but I certainly wasn't going to sit about the house waiting for it to happen. It was like Bath last week. Do you fancy a game of football? Yes. Unfortunately, things didn't work out there.
And you get sent off, I'll just remind the audience.
Yes, I know that. I didn't know they're called Early Bath FC, so that happened to me.
You are registered as a player at Raith and maybe a reserve game this week, yeah?
Well, I hope that's the way it works out. I feel all right, a wee bit of condition at the minute. But if I get a run out for the reserves Thursday, I'll see what happens. But it's not the first thing I'm thinking about is coming back.
Okay,
Jimmy Nicholl to Starks Park has got the fans dancing in the streets of Raith again. This 2-1 victory against Kilmarnock on Wednesday, suggesting the Irishman's influence could help save their season. Killie travel to Greenock tomorrow with memories of their last semi-final appearance fresh in the mind.
Last time was a couple of seasons back against Rangers when we get beat 2-1 in the replay, and it would be great to get back into the semis again. But as I said, you can't take it for granted. Morton will be a hard job to get on with, and we'll treat them with respect and go out and hopefully do the business.
It's probably become the biggest match of the season because we haven't done well in the league. So the only thing we've got is the cup. But people will be kidding themselves on if they think that we should be the favourites. I don't see how that is.